I agree usually that the Cardinals, again, they don't go after, or they don't at least win the deals for like the big dog.
Yeah.
We're talking the $150 million, the $200 million players. I mean, it says a lot that the Cardinals' biggest free agent deal they've ever signed is still Matt Holliday in terms of money. Now, obviously, you bring over big-time guys like Goldie. You absorbed the Nolan Arenado contract. But that's where I think Willson Contreras actually fits more what the Cardinals like to do, because it probably will be a 4-year deal for, let's say, between 64 and 72 million bucks. It's not going to be 150. It's not going to be 7 years. So I do think he fits the mold of a reasonable, mid-priced player who's not an absolute monster superstar, but is really, really good. Like, they're much more likely to do a deal like that than for somebody for $160 million.
They did get Dexter Fowler, and he was
good.
A big impact guy.
But that was a deal. I mean, that's a similar price. I know it didn't work out, but that was 5 years, $82.5 million. Like, the Cardinals will sign that deal. They'll sign the deal for Mike Leake. They'll sign the deal for Steven Matz. By the way, none of these have really worked out if you pick up the trend.
Yeah.
But I think Contreras, catching is such a vital position, and it's the real need for the Cardinals. Like, the outfield, I understand you can add a bat, but the Cardinals have 75,000 outfielders that they can try out.
I want more, Charlie.
We love Kiz. He's coming on today.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals have no proven catchers. At shortstop, they have Edman, who's fine. They have Mason Wynn on the way. The catching position, which was rock solid for 20 straight years with the St. Louis Cardinals, is an absolute question mark.
No
I mean,
doubt.
that is unequivocally their number one priority.
They also have a shortstop, DeYoung, that has better numbers than the guy you wanted to sign us for $16 million over the last 2 years.
Does DeYoung? He hit 19 bombs last year?
Similar numbers.
Did he play 144 games in the big
All-star,
leagues?
just a couple years from being an all-star, same thing.
First of all, I was at that All-Star game, and I love Paul DeYoung. He was the All-Star that year because the Cardinals had to have one All-Star, and they were pretty bad that year.
An
He hit 30
all-star's an
bombs.
all-star, Charlie.
Okay, Cody Bellinger was the MVP of the league.
So Sharon
And he's
wants to
also
get-
coming off
I
a
voted
shoulder
for-
injury where he potentially is getting stronger, and he was better last year.
The women want Cody.
He was.
He's potentially. I was just kidding.
That's a bad
I was just
I-
kidding, because actually what I wanted to say,
Waiting for Nate's
I was
number.
just throwing out some barbs. I wonder. I agree with you what you're saying, and from what I understand now, catcher is like a big priority. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go in on the Contreras market, because I agree with what you're saying. I just wonder internally if they think someone else that they could acquire via trade is going to be much better for them, if some of their internals rate one of these other guys. And so I wonder, like, would you rather have Murphy than Contreras as one of the Toronto guys, or is there a preference you have?
I'm fine with any of those options, honestly. And I know that's a bad kind of riding the fence answer. But here's the other part of it.
Sound like a rights holder.
You're talking about good young catchers with years of control that are going to cost a lot. And if you trade with the A's are terrible. The A's are going to
I like them this year.
but they're going to want your best prospects or your best major league talent with a lot of years of control. And so if the Cardinals weren't willing to trade any of those guys or a huge package for Juan Soto, are they going to trade 2 to 3 potential studs for Sean Murphy, or maybe 1 to 2 potential studs for a Toronto catcher? And oh, by the way, who just won the Cy Young Award? The Cardinals are also looking at the fact that the last time they had a big trade, I'm talking a big trade. I mean, they've traded for Arenado, but that was kind of a weird deal. Didn't have to give up much. Goldie, good player, 1 year left on his deal.
What big trades?
Those
I
are big
understand what you're
trades.
saying,
But the packages you needed to send those teams were different than the package they had to send the Marlins for a couple years of Marcell Ozuna. And they traded a Cy Young Award winner, and they traded Zach Gallen. I mean, they traded 2 guys that would have been the Cardinals' probably best 1 and 2 pitchers this year. And so John Mozeliak knows that. He got bit the last time, and he doesn't want to do it again. So do you want to trade away some of these young studs that could be the next Sandy Alcantara? I mean, that's part of this equation. Yeah. And to get one of these catchers via trade, you're probably going to have to trade away 2 to 3 really good players or prospects.
See, to me, the answer to that lies in how they feel about the available catchers out there, and I really don't know what the sense is. That's the kind of thing the Cardinals never give tells on, never. Like, you could dig around and mine around the you're not going to get that. My sense is there's usually one of those guys that they're like, yeah, that's our guy, if it's doable, but I don't have that info.